They were rollovers, I think. Let's go to Julie Marsden on the United States.
There's 73 countries in that. That is a very significant achievement.
They're mainly cut and paste. Go on, Julie.
Oh, you're in for a treat. As a Labour MP, Liam Byrne hilariously schools our hapless Tory Minister Greg Hands about all these wonderful free trade deals we're getting now to replace those we lost after Brexit. Speaking of Brexit, it all started with this question about Brexit, and then someone should have taken that shovel off our Greg Hands.
Have you squandered the opportunity of Brexit?
No, not at all, actually. First of all, thank you, Mr. Byrne, for the opportunity, I think, to appear before you as chairman of the committee, I think, for the first time. No, I think, actually, when you look at the record of the Department of Business and Trade, securing free trade agreements with 73 countries, making sure we are the fourth largest exporter, the second largest exporter of services, I think we have done well since the foundation of the department and its predecessors.
So on the 17th of January 2017, Mrs May said that it's time for Britain to get out into the world and rediscover its role as a great global trading nation. We've now got the worst trade intensity in the G7. Has the strategy succeeded?
Well, I think if I might, Mr. Byrne, actually the data, as I say, shows that we are the fourth largest exporter. We have a record amount of services exports, including to the European Union. And we've done probably more free trade agreements than any other country in the last 3 years.
The goal was to cover 80% of UK trade with free trade agreements. That was the manifesto commitment. We're just at about 60%. Do you think we will get to 80% coverage by the time of the election?
Well, I think, if I might, the 80% figure was predicated on a free trade agreement with the United States. That is not going to happen in the near term because the administration isn't doing free trade agreements and hasn't done free trade agreements with anybody over the last 4 years. So I think that figure, when you think about the sort of more than 30% of our trade that is with the United States, is very much predicated on the US. What we have done has been to do the trade agreement with the European Union, to do the trade agreement to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is about 15% of global GDP when the UK is in, and also to do free trade agreements with 70 other countries as well. So I think we've got an excellent record that the whole department, who have been working incredibly hard on this in recent years, can be very proud of.
Well, Mr. Manifesto commitment, was that wishful thinking, do you think, in retrospect?
Well, as I say, I think it was predicated on the actual data at the time, which remains roughly the data today, that an expectation of being able to do a free trade agreement with the United States. Unfortunately, the administration does not do free trade agreements.
On the 9th of May 2016, Mr. Johnson wrote that it's absurd that Britain, historically a great free trading nation, has been unable to do a free trade deal with Australia, New Zealand, China, India and America. Now, India and New Zealand have been done. We've done 14 rounds with India. Are we going to get that deal done before the election here?
Well, look, that's obviously a live negotiation, and we are in the India sort of pre-election period at the moment, and that is something which is therefore difficult to conclude at present. India obviously has its own pre-election rules in relation to what they can and cannot do on international agreements.
That sounds like a no.
Well, I'm saying that it is a live negotiation, and we'll have to wait and see.
We've done 5 rounds with the United States. Is that deal making progress? You were there on the 12th of April.
Well, there hasn't been a further round since the change in administration in January 2021, more than 3 years ago.
It was mooted that if the US deal didn't come off, we would apply to join the USMCA. Are we going to apply to join the USMCA?
There are no plans to join the MCA, but what we are doing is a number of state-level agreements across the United States. We've secured 8 of those with individual US states, with South Carolina, North Carolina, Indiana, Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Washington State, and Utah. And we are in negotiations with 3 other states, California, Colorado, and Illinois. So I think we are in a good position in our state-level strategy with the United States.
Both Boris Johnson and Mrs May mooted the idea back in 2016 and 2017 that China would be one of the targets for a free trade agreement. Are we likely to enter into negotiations for a free trade agreement with China?
There are no plans to do a free trade agreement with China.
And if China applied to join the CPTPP, I think you've said to the House that that isn't something that we could opine on without consultation with our partners. Is that still your position?
Well, I think when it comes to new parties joining CPTPP, the UK very much signs up to what are called the Auckland Principles, which are the three principles when looking at new applicants to CPTPP. The first of those being that a prospective party must match the high standards of the agreement. So very, very high standards free trade agreement, CPTPP. Secondly, that they must have a track record of abiding by international trade rules. And third, they must command the consensus of the CPTPP members. Those are the Auckland Principles, which will be applied as they were to us, to all future applicants of CPTPP as well.
We've done 6 rounds now, I think, with the GCC. Is that deal going to get done before the election?
Well, that's also a live negotiation that Secretary of State and I are engaged with on a regular basis. We met the GCC trade ministers just before Ramadan at Abu Dhabi in the sidelines of the World Trade Organization Ministerial Conference. Talks are ongoing, and we hope to secure what I think will be a very good free trade agreement for the United Kingdom. We do a lot of trade with the Gulf. It's one of the regions where the UK really punches above its weight. A lot of investment comes in from the Gulf, of course, as well. So we're looking forward to doing a really good agreement with them.
So will that be done before our election, do you think?
Well, again, it's a live negotiation. We'll have to just have a bit more patience, I think, Mr. Byrne.
Okay, so we won't hit the 80% target, and the US deal won't happen. The China deal is not started. USMCA is off the table. And GCC we're going to wait and see, and India we're going to wait and see. That's the summary.
Well, I would add to that, if I might, Mr. Byrne, the fact this country has actually concluded more free trade agreements with more counterparts more quickly than potentially any other.
But they were rollovers, I think. Let's go to Julian Marsden on the United States.
There's 73 countries in that. That is a very significant achievement.
They're mainly cut and paste. Go on.
I had a laugh when Liam Byrne asked that first question. Our Greggy boy should have realised he was being set up. But no, he tried to sell them with memorandums of understandings with US states as fantastic opportunities to replace for those lost trade with the EU. Also, countries like America. I thought they were falling over themselves to give us fantastic trade deals, apparently. We were told during the referendum. Well, where are they? Apart from laughing at our stupidity, of course. But what do you guys think? Do you think Greg Hands looked like a bit of a bell tap? Was Liam Byrne getting his own back over the traditional no money left note our Greggy boy kept desperately tweeting all those times? Let me know down below and I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.